Welcome to Hardly. The book is distilled into 3 stories, giving you the key ideas in minutes. Today, we listen to F.A. Hayek's The Road to Serfdom, text and documents in which we probe into how centralized planning leads to unintended consequences, why the pursuit of security can undermine freedom, the rise of totalitarianism from well-meaning economic policies. F.A. Hayek is a British economist and political thinker who was born in the Austro-Hungarian Empire and won the Nobel Prize in Economics in 1974. Don't go away. Hardly, the editor, will be right back with the story. In this section, we explore 3 interconnected stories of how central planning, the pursuit of security, and well-meaning policies can spiral into something far more dangerous than anyone anticipated. The first story begins with a young economist in pre-World War II Vienna, watching the rise of centralized planning in his country. He understood the appeal. After all, when economies suffer, people crave order. A central government could direct resources, eliminate inefficiencies, and ensure the fair distribution of goods. However, as the plan unfolded, a dark reality began to emerge. Factories were nationalized, and decisions that once belonged to individuals were now under the tight grip of the state. The very freedom of choice in the marketplace, a core element of personal liberty, had vanished. People's lives, which had once been driven by their personal goals and ambitions, were now dictated by the state's economic strategy. The story shows how the centralized control of even something as basic as bread supply led to shortages, long lines, and a black market. One quote from the book starkly illustrates this. The more the state plans, the more difficult planning becomes for the individual. This case teaches us the importance of keeping economic decisions as decentralized as possible. The state should provide guidelines and basic safety nets, but beyond that, the market needs the freedom to adjust to the countless variables of human life. If the economy is treated like a machine that can be entirely controlled, the eventual breakdown is inevitable. Next, the pursuit of security over freedom takes us to a small community post, World War II. The story revolves around a group of citizens who, after experiencing the devastation of war, turn to their government for absolute security. The idea of never having to face unemployment, hunger, or homelessness again was deeply comforting. A government safety net, if implemented well, was meant to guarantee these necessities. But as time passed, the very mechanisms designed to protect them started to choke the freedom they once valued. With government jobs, housing assignments, and welfare programs came rules. Rules about how much they could work, what kind of work they could do, and where they could live. People found themselves trapped by their own security, their personal choices limited by bureaucratic red tape. As the book points out, nothing makes a man more dependent on the government than the illusion that he is free when every detail of his life is managed. This story highlights the fine balance between freedom and security. It's clear that a safety net is vital, but too much security provided by the state inevitably limits personal choice. A solution to this dilemma lies in ensuring that systems meant to protect people from disaster are built with flexibility, allowing individuals to regain control over their own lives when circumstances improve. Our final story circles back to well-meaning policies that lead to unintended authoritarian outcomes. In a country reeling from economic depression, a charismatic leader promises to restore order through a series of economic reforms. The people are inspired, and they welcome these changes eagerly, believing they are part of a great national revival. Factories begin to hum again, employment rates rise, and the state seems to be succeeding where free market forces failed. However, over time, something more sinister starts to take shape. With the centralization of economic power came the centralization of political power. The leader, initially viewed as a savior, now wields an iron grip on both the economy and the government. Dissent is crushed, the media is controlled, and political rivals mysteriously disappear. The state, which had begun with noble intentions, has now become totalitarian. As the book grimly warns, the road to serfdom is paved with good intentions. This final story underscores a key lesson. Even the best-intentioned policies can become tools of oppression if not checked by strong democratic institutions and a vigilant populace. Economic reforms need to be paired with safeguards for political freedoms, ensuring that power remains distributed across the spectrum and does not become concentrated in the hands of a few. These stories are interconnected, and each offers a piece of a larger puzzle. The centralized control of resources inevitably restricts personal freedoms. When people trade liberty for security, they often find themselves with neither. And when well-intentioned policies go unchecked, they can give rise to authoritarianism, where the concentration of power becomes absolute. Each story highlights how delicate the balance is between freedom and control, between planning and spontaneity, and between order and chaos. As the editor of Hardly, by learning these lessons, we can focus on building future systems that protect freedom while offering stability. This means creating flexible safety nets, supporting decentralized decision-making, and above all, keeping a close watch on those who hold power. Each story comes from the most representative real-life cases selected by the Hardly team from this book. There are still 6 more stories in this book worth reading, each offering unique insights into how economic and political systems can affect freedom. If you wish to dive deeper, we recommend purchasing the full book. Finally, share a sentence from the book to end today's reading. We shall never prevent the abuse of power if we are not prepared to limit power in a way which occasionally may prevent its use for desirable purposes. As we reflect on the key themes of the road to serfdom, it becomes clear how centralized planning, the pursuit of security, and well-meaning policies can lead to unexpected and dangerous outcomes. One last story further solidifies this understanding. In a small European country recovering from war, a politician rises to power with a promise: a comprehensive housing program to provide every citizen with a home. It sounds perfect. No one should have to live on the streets, and affordable housing will be a human right. However, as the state takes control of all land and housing development, the private sector is squeezed out entirely. Years pass, and housing projects, though started with enthusiasm, fall into disrepair. The government struggles with inefficiency, and neighborhoods once vibrant with private initiative now suffer from neglect. Worse, any attempts to leave the government-run housing system are met with resistance. You can't sell, you can't move without permission. What began as a path to prosperity has turned into a trap, a system where choice is removed and people are forced into dependency. This story brings home the importance of balance. Even the most compassionate policies must allow room for individual choice and private initiative, or they risk becoming oppressive. It shows that good intentions alone aren't enough. The book's cautionary lessons are timeless, reminding us to remain vigilant about the concentration of power and to champion both freedom and responsibility in all aspects of life.